right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, wherever you are in this beautiful world. Welcome to our Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host, Ryan Carthage. We'll be joined shortly by my awesome partner, Mr. Ben Allen. Hope everybody is doing well today. It's a beautiful Wednesday morning, Wednesday here in the U.S. As always, let's turn off all distractions, grab a pen and paper, let's take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. And real quick before we dive in, if you can drop me one in the chat if you can hear me okay. Perfect, appreciate it. All right, so let's flip over to, appreciate it. Slide over to our credo. Accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing for any outcome. Center yourself in body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading. Trust in your education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. Imagine your trade successfully materializing, obeying your trading strategy, avoiding decision based on greed and fear, and never looking back, stopping once your trade has commenced. All right, so shift our minds and focus on where we are in the moment. All right, so let's get to it. We had a little bit of movement in the market, but we had a lot of PMI data coming in today. So we'll dive in, check out the data, then we'll take a look at the charts and prepare for that Bank of Canada rate statement that we will see later on this morning. All right, so let's hop over to trading economics, take a look at things there, and then we will ride further. So Eurozone private sector downturn moderates. HCOB Eurozone composite PMI was slightly up at 47.9 in January from 47.6 in December, falling short of the expectation of 48, right? So below expectation, but above previous data. Business activity fell at the slowest rate since last July, as manufacturing production contraction eased to the softest since last April, and services activity declined the most since October. All right, so things are moderating a bit, right, from a slowdown perspective. Then you had UK factory orders weaker than expected in January. Confederation of British Industry Surveys, total order book balance declined by 7 points from a month earlier to -30 in January 2024, reaching the second lowest level since January 2021 and falling short of market expectation of -23, according to the CBI's latest industry trend survey. At the same time, the gauge for price expectations rose to 0.9 in January. Meanwhile, the CBDI quarter survey revealed that new orders sub-index dropped to -13 in the first quarter, reaching its lowest since July 2020. While the stocks of raw materials posted the biggest reduction in over 3 years, manufacturers' investment intentions for plants and machineries were lowest in 3 years. So industrial production orders down, right? Impacting the overall economy from a production perspective. Okay. Then we had German private sector contracts at a faster pace, right? So let's hop over to the calendar and take a look at some of these numbers, right? Yesterday, before we get to today, New Zealand CPI came in at expectation of 0.5%, right? So as expected there for the inflation rate in New Zealand. Then this morning, right? So these are the PMI data that came out for France, Germany, in the Eurozone overall. And you see some mixed data and some positive data. Then you had the pound PMI data that came in above expectation, right? Um, so purchasing managers index, meaning from a manufacturing perspective, where they saw things. And we just read the article there on the purchasing orders for manufacturing and services, both above expectation. So later on today, we have the Bank of Canada rate statement at 9:45, and then the press conference at 10:30. So it'll be an interesting day, right? We have the PMI data come in. Now we're looking at the Bank of Canada to see where they stand from a rate perspective. And the expectation is they hold rates at 5%. All right. Um, so that is just a quick overlook from a fundamental perspective. And also, let me hop over. I made a post in the Discord about Japan. And I'm not in the Discord, but in the community, discussing the wages and the wage negotiations. So let's slide over there real quick. Take a look at that information. Right. So wage negotiations have kicked off. Japan's business lobby and trade unions initial the labor talks. This year's talks are critical for the potential shift in the Bank of Japan's monetary policy. So the wage increase expectations, the expectation or the anticipated wage hike by big firms is 3.85%, and it's the highest in 31 years, and it surpasses last year's 3-decade high of 3.6. Right, so looking at continuing to increase the wages for workers in Japan on average at 3.85%, and the major firms are in agreement for the most part with that. And this will ultimately put the Bank of Japan in a good space to come out of their negative interest rate policy. And the goal is to increase the wages, have a wage increase higher than inflation. That's the goal. So, and at 3.85%, that will ultimately be that, seeing as their rate is around 1.82%, and their goal is to keep that stable in that 2 to 3% range. So, the increases will be above that. So, that's there's a link to the article also in the community. You can read the full article, check it out. We're also working on a blog post to add to the website as well, so you can read the blog post there. So, the work is still being done on the back end. And when it comes to wages in Japan, to get in alignment with the Bank of Japan overall to allow for these changes to occur. All right. So we'll continue to monitor those wage negotiations as they continue as well. All right. Benny, good morning, bro.
Ryan, good morning, sir. Good morning, everybody. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. How about yourself?
Doing great. Glad to be here, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anything top of mind from a fundamental perspective for you?
No, man, you covered a lot because we got a lot that's coming up. So, including everything that happened early morning. So, no, you covered everything perfectly, man.
I appreciate it. Team, do you guys have anything top of mind or questions from a fundamental perspective?
No.
Nope. All right. Cool deal. So let's hop over to the charts, man, and we will see how things look.
Definitely looking forward to getting this data, get the market moving, man. It's been
Yeah, man.
kind of stagnant, lagging a
It,
bit.
it's been interesting, right? The PMI data moved the market a little bit, but I think these rate statements from Canada and the ECB could definitely give us some of the movement that we're looking for sure.
Yeah,
Um,
man. Need some volatility.
definitely need some. I think too. I think the expansion of that war in Israel is also causing some concerns.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
You have fresh, even as of yesterday, fresh U.S. and U.K. strikes on the Huntai in the Red Sea, which is causing that disruption for shipping.
Yep.
Um, and they're seeing that potentially being a prolonged scenario. So that's also going to be interesting. But I think that that is playing a part also in some of the concern and some of the indecision that we're seeing.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, yeah. So to the dollar, to the dollar. So that's the one hour. We're going to come back to the four. Right? So yesterday we looked at the dollar and where we were, and we know we had price pushing to the upside. We broke above this daily resistance level here, which is around that 618 retracement level of the capital fib. Let me pull these out for a second. Maybe there we go. Right, 618 level of the capital fib. We broke above that with the gap, and then we had another push to the upside. I pushed to an 86 retracement on that capital fib. Right, and price turned over and on the 4 hour time frame closed back below that daily level. So Joy had brought up some of the gaps that we're seeing and looking to see if price comes back to close some of these gaps in the market. So we'll see, looking at a retracement right now. And if we run a sub fib, looking at these smaller waves in the retracement, we see that this move here, we just wicked this 382 level, I do believe, the low at 12,917. Yep. So we just wicked that 382 level, pushed just shy of that 118, 127 zone, and we turn back over. So we're looking at potentially getting a deeper retracement on this new fib that formed, right? So we shall see how things transpire, right? As we come down to the 1 hour on the DXY, you see that you'll see that, right? That move, that push to the upside on the 1 hour gave us an 80-20. So it would make sense if we do get a deeper retracement on this 1 hour fib, that also closes that gap that we talked, that you brought up yesterday, right? So 80-20 on the 1 hour on the sub fib, deep retracement here. So looking at potential continuation to the downside on the DXY, right? Which could give us some boosts in some other areas. Okay. Some pullbacks on those dollar pairs and things like that. So um this will be interesting to watch as we move through the week, seeing as we have additional data coming out for the dollar as well. GDP, unemployment claims, crude oil inventories, manufacturing PMI coming out later today. So some of that data, we'll see how it comes out and see if it gives us the additional catalyst to push price to the downside a bit further. All right. So something that also watching there from that perspective. All right. Any questions on the DXY?
Hi, Ryan.
What's up, Jeremy?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, man.
Yeah, just a quick one on the DXY and regarding the gaps. What causes that?
So what causes the gaps a lot of times is some sort of fundamental event that happens when the market is closed. So this one was Friday, right? So close the business on Friday, and then actually, I think this particular gap, Benny brought up an issue here.
Yeah, I think this was just
Smart
a
trader.
because I'm not sure if it's on all platforms. Sometimes it depends on your platform. I think it was a data feed issue, maybe.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I think, I could be wrong on that, but because I have to go cross check that in some of the other pairs on like Trading View. So it might have been a data feed issue
Okay.
that happened on Smart Trader. Well, I do remember us talking about it before.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw it on
Yeah,
multiple charts as well.
yeah,
So either a data feed issue, or if it's not a data feed issue, um, a lot of times when you see gaps over the weekend and things like that, it's more geared around some sort of fundamental occurrence that happened over the weekend, be it a press conference, um, some geopolitical event, right? War breakouts, things of that nature that cause gaps in the market. This particular one, seeing as it basically took out a full week, this one does look more like a data issue, but we could still see price pull back and push back down to the downside.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? Nope. All right. Cool deal. Let's take a look at the dollar uh dollar CAD. So this one is still kind of in between. We still got price hovering around a bit in this range here. As we come back to the daily time frame, right? Look at price, been moving down. We got a nice retracement, 786 retracement level. Now we wait and see, right? What happens with the Bank of Canada and also how the dollar moves. Do we get either a retracement, push back down to the downside here, or do we get price just to completely turn over and start breaking some of these lows in favor of the Canadian dollar, right? So we got a back and forth there. We'll see what happens with the Bank of Canada in their rate conversation. If it does come out more hawkish, right, we could see that push to the downside in more of an aggressive manner, right? So we'll see what happens with that. But at minimum, we could see a pullback here, and then for potential getting back long, depending on how the Bank of Canada comes out. Jeremy, question about gaps, right? This is a gap here where we had Thursday, December 28th to January 2nd, right? And that was the New Year break in the market. And you also had conversation about rate cuts and things like that happen during this break. And you see the gap there, right? And price gapped up on this dollar CAD and pushed to the upside. So that's an example of a fundamental scenario where we got a gap in the market. So as we come down to the 4 on this dollar CAD, right? Still sitting in that deep retracement uh range, right? 618 level. We want to see, right? Again, do we turn over and make our way to the downside and get to the D extension, or do we make a push to the upside here? Okay, so something we'll continue to watch and see how things transpire on the dollar CAD and see what what the data has for us and what the press conference also has for us today, right? There were your trend lines to the upside, and you did already get the trend line break, right? You had a break and retest there, and we've been moving to the downside, but you see we're just stalling out here, right? So we want to see how price moves and if we get a breakout of this little range here. Okay. Like that. All right. So we'll watch Bank of Canada later on this morning. Questions on the dollar CAD.
No.
We'll do. All right. Let's do a quick update on the dollar yen since we're here. We're looking for retracement to occur on this dollar yen. Clean this up a little bit. All right. So on the 4-hour time frame, pushed into this 8-6 retracement level, seeing if we get price to turn over, right? And you see yesterday, right after that rate statement for Bank of Japan, price actually continued to push to the upside. You know, we're looking at it and say, okay, maybe price will stall back within this range, and it didn't. It pushed back to the upside and gave us a double top scenario here at that 148,721 resistance level, right? And then price turned back over and started making its way back down to the downside. So originally we had a trend line. Yep. So that's our original trend line, and we did have an inner trend line, which you'll see better on the 1-hour time frame. coming to the upside like this, right? We got a break and close below, but then price pushed back above. So deleted that trend line, moved it to the outermost point, and now we're looking at a trend line like this. All right. So coming down to the actually, let's go back to the daily real quick. Daily, we see that original move off of that 152 level, and this was the pullback after that push down. We didn't get to the D extension on the capital fib, right? And we looking to see if we stay inside the sub fib AB boundary. And we're turning over now, right? You see bearish candlestick. We'll see if we're able to break this previous daily resistance level, right? And push back below, continue this move back down to the downside. We'll see how that goes. So skipping back to the 1 hour now. On the one, and how this comes together for us. This was the move to the upside, right? Took out that A boundary, right? When the A boundary gets taken out, flip the fib in the opposite direction, and boom. So here's our 80-20 scenario on the 1 hour, right? And we're trying to get this move down. All right, we're trying to get this move down. On that 4, I talked about those original trend lines. And this was the original trend line to the upside that we had yesterday. It got broken, but price pushed back up and gave us that double top. All right, so that's why I deleted that inner trend line. Okay. So now price came back to the trend line. We want to see if we can break this level and stay below this 147,521 level, right? If we're able to get that break, then we could definitely see price continue to make its way down 217 pips at least to that next support level and that 382 TP1. All right. So, excuse me. So that's where we are, right? Out of the zone, we're up 77 pips. All right. And we'll see if we get price to continue moving to the downside there. Okay. Questions on the dollar yen?
No.
No, sir.
All right. All right. Cool. Cool. So let's go to this Aussie CAD. Actually, no, I'm sorry. New Zealand CAD first. And Benny, I believe we talked about this 80-20 over the weekend. On the 4, right? Shallow retracement. Price pushed down into that 118, 127 zone, got to that support level, and we're seeing that reversal occur. Okay. This is ahead of the rate statement. So we'll see if we get a little bit of a pullback. Let's see if we're able to get a continuation to the upside here, right? And get us to that TP1 level. But this is already turned over. Nice push to the upside. So if you're not in this, let's see if we get a pullback, right? Retest this small consolidation zone here that we broke out of and give us an opportunity to take that to at least that TP1 level there. Okay, so that's the 80-20 on the NZD CAD. I did miss this one, but hopefully some folks were able to take advantage and enter this one. Donette says she's in it. Beautiful. Beautiful. So let's see if we get price to continue moving to the upside here, get us that TP1 or TP2 level. Quite a few people in it. Beautiful. Great work. Great work. All right. So let's watch that there on the 4. Coming down to the 1, right? And we'll track the sub fibs here on the 1. So we got a double bottom at that daily support level and a push to the upside. And you see we hit the D extension. So a retracement would make sense, right? After this 1 hour candle closes here in 5 minutes, we'll get this new AB boundary. Then we'll look for a pullback, right? See if we get price to pullback 618-786 range and give us an opportunity to get long on this one and continue that move to the upside. Okay. So depending on your chart that you enter on, right? See the 80-20 on the 4 hour, we know the TP levels. So if your entry chart is on the 1 hour, cool. And this is how you can gauge that entry if you missed that original entry before, right? So looking for a pullback into our sweet spot, see the D move, and then look to take that long. Okay. Questions on this New Zealand CAD?
Nope.
Nope. Cool deal. All right, so now over to this Aussie CAD. Just want to review these Canadian dollar pairs just ahead of the rate statement. So daily time frame, we know we have been pushing down to the downside. We got a level of daily support that I got to add in here, right there. Right. We've just been stuck in this range, right? Had a strong, beautiful move to the downside. Now we're caught in this range, and this level is no longer. There we go. Want to see if we get a retracement before we get a continuation down, right? As we zoom out, we'll see. I think we'll see. Maybe not. Looking for the overall fib on this one to the downside. Let's map these out real quick. There we go. Nope, that's not it either. I'll mark this out and see. Continue walking through to get these fibs to expand to the downside. Okay. So maybe not. Thought there was a larger fib coming down here, but this move to the upside took out this last A here, right? So we got fibs running to the upside like this, and this is where we stand. We got a 382 retracement weekly support pushing to the upside, but price was turned over. So we got a back and forth battle here, right? With the Aussie, both commodity currencies, Aussie and Canadian dollar, got oil trying to pick up some steam, bounce back and forth. And we also got the Aussie, which is also trying to get a little nudge, but we'll see what happens from a commodity perspective, especially with the expansion of the war. And we'll see if one or both of these pairs gain some steam. And if so, we could be in a range for a little bit. Okay. But this is our AB boundary here on the daily time frame. So as we come down to the 4, right? This was our move back down. That 80-20 to the downside got us to TP1. Now we're looking to see if we can get a pullback here, right? See if we can get a pullback back into the zone. And then we'll see if price turns over and continues down or it continues moving to the upside, right? So on the 1 hour, this is where 80-20 comes into play. And we just been bouncing back and forth, right? So we'll see if we're able to get this catalyst to push this thing to the upside. Okay. So ahead of the rate statement, if they come in a bit dovish, right, we could see this Canadian dollar take a bit of a hit and things push to the upside in this Aussie CAD pair. Okay. So that's the 80-20. Just wait on it to make its mind up and make the move there. Questions on the Aussie CAD? Nope. All right.
Nope.
Cool, cool. Okay, Swiss. Got some back and forth bouncing as well. Daily time frame. We pushed out of the support level, all-time low. We approach this daily resistance level, 64,785, and we'll pull them back. We had a nice strong move to the upside, so a pullback, kind of makes sense, right? So we're looking to see how deep this pullback comes, potentially just retesting some of these resistance levels here, and then see if we can then get price to turn back over and make its way long. Okay. Like so. All right. Give me 1 second, everybody. All right. So that's on the daily time frame. Coming down to the 4 where we got an 80-20 scenario. All right. There we go. All right. Larger fib, but there's the scenario there. So this is the pullback that we're looking for right here. All right. We'll see how deep this pullback comes, potentially just retesting this previous daily resistance level here. Okay. Got a double top here, so we're pushing down. So if we run a sub fib on this to the upside, right? Fresh AB boundary, pullback. Okay, and maybe that pullback comes a little bit deeper. Maybe we do get a 618 retracement level, right? But ultimately looking for price to turn back over and make its way back to the upside. All right, so we're in a pullback phase here now. And maybe the data gives that deeper retracement level for the opportunity for those that may not be in this and want to, in this long drawn out forever trade, get an opportunity to get back along there. Okay. So that's on the 4. That's the 80-20 there. Coming down to the 1. Just going to run the sub fib to the upside. All right. We just missed this 118 level here in this daily resistance for an 80-20 scenario to the downside here. Right. But retracement makes sense. Right. Long, strong move to the upside. Retracement for a continuation to the upside there. Okay. So just watching that one for this retracement to finish out. And then we'll look for an opportunity to get back long on this CAD Swiss. Okay. Questions on this pair, CAD Swiss? Okay. Cool deal. Let's go to CAD Yen. Retracing as well, right? Not able to stay above this daily level. All right. This 109,981 is difficult. We've been here multiple times, pushed up to the weekly level, came back below. So this is going to be interesting to see at what point do we break out of this range and in what direction, right? And in what direction, okay? Right now we're pushing to the downside. Coming to the 4. There we are on the 4, the overall move. Deep retracement didn't take out the A. So looking for price to get to this 112,404 level at some point, right? But we're pulling back. And we came just shy of the smaller wave D extension there. Okay, so we'll watch this pullback again to see how deep it comes before we continue to the upside there. Okay, now we get down to the 1, look at this pullback. There's the 80-20 scenario there on the CAD yen, right? Pushing to that 118 level. Would have loved to see it get to this 110,694, but it didn't and started to break down. Okay, so we're moving to the downside here. So this retracement makes sense from a lower time frame perspective, right? So just looking for price, continue moving to the downside, break these trend lines and give us a low price with the potential then to get back long and head to the D extension. Okay. So that's the CAD yen in this retracement phase. Did anybody take this 80-20 to the downside? This is one that I did not take. I wanted a higher price on it. Joy's in it. Beautiful. No. Okay. Cool. Cool. All right. We'll continue to watch that. We'll see how the data impacts this one. The press conference for Bank of Japan, investors are looking at the press conference as more of a Bank of Japan taking more of a hawkish tone. Even though they stated that they would be standing pat on their on the rate, there was mention of the economy performing in line with their expectations, and they also mentioned the wage negotiations and those going as expected, which investors took that as them laying the groundwork for the rate change. So you have that rhetoric popping up again from the investors that could potentially slightly move the market as they're trying to talk the yen. So we could see some of that impact in the short term before things shift back to the upside, as the Bank of Japan could come back and say, hey, we haven't changed anything yet. And that could push these yen crosses back to the upside. So something to be aware of as these retracements on the yen start to move a little bit. All right. So no questions there. Euro CAD. You got 80-20 on the 4-hour, but we've just been trapped in this range here, right? Daily resistance at 147, 162, daily support at 145, 487. All right, looking to see what direction we get price to move. We have not gotten a 382 on the daily time frame yet. Okay, so there's something that I have in the back of my mind is at some point, do we get price to turn over and start breaking these support levels? Right, it's just a matter of when. So personally, I'd love the retracement in the high price before we get back short. We'll see if we get that or not, right? So we'll continue to watch both of these pairs here. Coming back to the 4, there's the 80-20 scenario. We came just shy of that 382 on that first push, right? And then we've just been caught in this range here between those resistance and support levels. So looking to see if we get that move to the upside still. It's been a long, drawn-out scenario. You got the euro, which has had some strength, right? And the ECB saying, hey, inflation could still be an issue. We're gonna stand firm and continue to watch. And you got the Bank of Canada that's been kind of more on the dovish side. So we'll watch and see if things start to shift a bit at some point and see if we get this push to the upside there. So that's the 80-20 that we're waiting on. Still just moving sideways, and we'll watch to see how the data impacts that. Okay. Questions on the Euro CAD?
No.
All right, we'll do. Um, then this pound CAD. And we talked about this one over the weekend. This one's going to be interesting to see how this moves. We push back into this daily resistance level at 171, right? And you see the reaction that we continue to get here, right? My question is, and my thought is, are we able to break this daily level and push to the upside, get back to 172 before we get another move to the downside, giving us a double top scenario here, right? That's what I'm looking at to see what happens. We come down to the 4. You see here, deep retracement. We haven't taken out that A yet, right? We got to a 382 level. So the matching D extension on this 4-hour on the sub fib is here, which would take out that A, make this our capital sequence. So this is going to be interesting to see what happens, right? We got a nice boost in the pound this morning with some of that data, right? And we're getting a pullback now. Do we see a turnover once the Bank of Canada gives their rate statement? And do we see a push to the upside, right? That's what I'm looking to see. If we do, I'm going to be watching 172, 684 as a potential opportunity to get back short on this pair, right? So we'll watch and see what happens there. Coming down to the 1, right? Similar story. The extension just ahead of that 172 level, right? We've already gotten to this 382 zone, and we're trying to make our way to the upside, just struggling to break above these resistance levels. Okay. So I'm watching this one for further push to the upside in the short term, at least, getting to the D extension on the 4-hour and the 1-hour, and then seeing if we get price to turn back over and move to the downside after that. Okay. So we'll watch this one and see how the data pushes that. Questions on CAD or any of the CAD pairs that we've looked at?
Sure.
Order on a short, Joy?
Yep.
Okay. So you're looking at price staying below this level and continue moving down.
Just to the
Okay.
daily.
Just a daily
Well,
support level?
Yeah, to that next support level right at the at the
Yeah.
618.
Okay. All right. I dig it. Let's watch and see. Let's see what this data holds. I dig it. I dig it. Jeremy short on this one as well. Okay. Beautiful. All right. let's watch it and see how it moves. Let's watch it and see how it moves. Definitely got some confluence on the deep retracement levels, right? And we'll see what happens if we get that pushed down. All right. It'd be definitely welcomed if it does. Definitely welcomed if it does. All right. Any other questions or thoughts on this pound CAD?
No.
All right. Cool deal. Um, let's look at, I'm gonna look at this pound yen. As this it's still stuck in this range. Again, we broke the trend line there, right? And then we've just been range bound. We got a nice push to the upside this morning. I'm looking to see what happens here, right? Strong bullish action, and we're pulling back now. I'm curious on how we move, right? Do we push back to the top of the range, or do we are we able to continue to the downside here? So this one I'm watching close to see what happens. That was a strong bullish move. Strong bullish move at the market open this morning. All right. So I'm definitely curious on what happens there. Okay. Yep, on the 15 and 30. Yep, same bullish action there at that 4 o'clock hour. So we'll watch and see. We'll watch and see how this one goes. But we're at some high prices, right? Coming back to the daily time frame, just shy of this 118 level, monthly resistance at 188,702. Okay, so if we break that level, we could continue long for a minute, right? We could continue long for a minute. So that's why I'm watching this level as closely as I am. We come back and we look at things from a weekly perspective, right? We're also struggling at this level, 118 and 127 zone at 195, 229. So if we break this, I see us headed there before coming back down. So watching this closely from a higher time frame perspective um, to see what happens, right, and see how things move there. Okay, but definitely looking at some point, price making its way back down to the downside. Okay, because we haven't gotten a 382 on the weekly, we haven't gotten a 382 on the daily. We got an 80-20 on the 4 hour, right? Just missed that 118 level. Struggled there. Strong bullish action. Couldn't break it. Come down, right? So watching this to see if we get this continuation to the downside here. Okay, finally able to break out of this zone. So we'll watch that throughout the day and see how it moves. Okay, questions on this pound yen?
Oh,
All right, cool deal. In short, yep, I am too. I'm short on this one as well, right? 80-20 on the 1 hour, 80-20 on the 4 hour. Just shy of the 118 level on the daily. So I'm short on this one as well. More off of the lower time frame, 80-20. Looking short, but this candle this morning kind of piqued my interest to see if we get back to the top of this range first or not. So definitely watching it closely to see what happens there. Definitely. All right, cool deal. But we will watch that one close as well. All right. What other ones do we have? Euro NZD. Euro NZD is making its way out of that 80-20 zone. Right. We talked about this one, right? And we walked back yesterday looking at that crown pattern and seeing what happens there. Coming here to the daily, right? We retested this zone that I told you guys had my eyes on, and you see we pushed back down below, right? We broke back below that daily support level. Strong bearish action. Now we got some indecision. Okay. So I'm looking to see if we're able to continue short on this. Right. Here's your 80-20 on the 4. Right. Just missed that 382 level, pushing to the 118, 127 zone. And we got the breakdown. We got just shy of a 618 retracement on that move down. Okay. Coming down to the 1, we also had an 80-20 scenario right here. So beautiful breakdown. Now the question is, are we able to continue to the downside, right? So that's what I'm looking at now. This was a beautiful move out of the zone. We didn't get that push back into that zone that I told you guys I was looking for. Price just continued moving to the downside, which is cool, right? 173 pips from that area. If you caught it out of the zone, it's 178 pips to the downside, right? So now I'm looking to see if this move down will continue. Okay, if this move down will continue to really start to fill out, right? Make another lower high on the weekly time frame, right? If we're able to continue this down trend, right? See if we make a lower high here and then continue moving down. So that's what I'm looking for on this one. That 80-20 played out beautifully. Now let's look to see if we get some continuation, breaking some of these support levels and continue moving down. Questions on the Euro NZD. Huh? All right, that one I'm definitely I'm definitely looking for some confirmation on this one. For a longer move to the downside, but it's going to take a lot from a fundamental perspective for that to really play out, right? And I think more on the euro than from the New Zealand dollar. So definitely going to watch the fundamentals closely on that one. Okay. Aussie dollar, looking at this 80-20 to the upside, similar to that Aussie CAD, kind of been caught in a range here, right? Strong move to the downside, caught in the range, looking to see if we get a pullback before we get a continuation down. Okay. Yeah, definitely fighting here. Definitely fighting here, right? We had just shy of a 118 level there on the 80-20 move to the downside, pushed down, took out the A. So we flip that fib and run it down. Boom. Right? So fresh AB boundary pullback here, right, on the 4. So we're looking to see if we get a deeper pullback on this Aussie dollar pair. We're coming down to the 1. There's our 80-20 just bouncing back and forth right now. Okay. So another one just being patient on, looking for the catalyst on this one to push to the upside. Maybe the data that comes out today, tomorrow, give us that and at least get us to a high price, and then we can look for some short opportunities. Okay, so that one, not a ton doing there, just bouncing back and forth, similar to that Aussie CAD. All right. Which others do I have? Looked at the dollar yen. Euro yen, similar scenario as the rest, right? Except we didn't get that strong push to the upside that we got on the pound yen, right? So daily time frame, we talked about this yesterday, 786 retracement. You see, we got a turnover here, right? So we do have a level of daily resistance here. Boom. Right now, looking to see if we get price to continue to the downside. We're retesting a previous level of resistance here as well, so we got to keep that in mind, right? But if we're able to break below this 160, 183, look for a continuation to the downside. All right, we'll bring this down. All right, so here on the 4, here's an 80-20 scenario. Price turned over. We got the trend line break. We're trying to push down. Got to break that level, right? So that's what I'm watching now. We got the trend line break. Now I want to see, I am already short on this, but I want to see a break this daily level at 162.10. If we break and retest, then that'll be some additional confirmation for this one to to get some giddy up and start really moving to the downside. All right. So that's on the 4. Then on the 1, we also got that trend line break there and looking at that move to the downside. Okay, so that's the euro yen. Just an update there. Questions on this one?
No.
Cool. Fundamentals are gonna be key in really getting this thing moving. So all these yen crosses and these dollar pairs and even the Canadian. So definitely looking for the volatility there. And said 80-20 on Ethereum was moving. Let's take a look at it. That's on the 1 hour. Get that retracement there off the fresh B boundary, right? We did push down. We had the 80-20 here. Push down, got to the D extension, that daily support level that we said we could hit. And now you're seeing the retracement there. Let's bounce back and take a look here. We should have new AB boundary. So there's your fresh AB boundary on the 4, looking for the retracement there. Okay. Coming down to lower time frames. Look at this. Right, and we said we're looking for retracement. So definitely looking for that to occur. 1 second, everybody. All right. Run the fib off the highs. Took it off the 15. Okay. There it is. Yep. There you go. Beautiful. Great work, right? Got some confirmation there as well. Right. Got some confirmation of that daily support level. Fresh AB boundary, shallow retracement, 118 to 127 zone, daily support. Retracement happening. Great work, Ann. Great work, right? So beautiful 80-20 here on the 15. Confirmation of support on the higher time frames. And we're moving along there. Beautiful. Beautiful. So we'll continue to watch that and see how it moves. Let's see how it moves. 79, 58. So yeah, great work there, right? So moving to the upside, we'll continue to watch that and see how it goes. Okay. Questions on Ethereum?
No.
All right, cool deal. Got you, Jeremy. Let's take a look at the Aussie NZD. See what's shaking. Pushing out that daily resistance zone. Interesting. Okay. So, right. So range bound, top of the range, moving back down to the bottom of the range. Okay. We zoom out. We know this one generally is in a range. So it'll be interesting to see overall, right, what direction we break out of this. Right. Interesting to see what direction we break out of this. Okay. So we could definitely see some continued bouncing back and forth as price tries to figure it out. Coming down to the 4. Interesting gap there. Boom. 80-20 scenario on the 4. All right. Inside that consolidation, run the fib off the low to the high. Boom. Breakdown. So this one's moving to the downside. I missed this 80-20 altogether here. We're moving short. Moving short. We're approaching TP1 here. We'll see if we get some continuation on this one. All right. It'll be interesting to see what happens from a fundamental perspective. But that's been a strong move to the downside. So maybe at some point we get a pullback and then crown pattern continuation to the downside. So let's take a look at the 1. Let's see what we got here. Larger fib there, pointing down. We'll pull this out and just look at current price. Let's look at this last leg to the upside. and then we'll look at it coming down as well. All right, yeah, that's what I thought. So the A got taken out on the move down. So we reversed the fib. A got taken out, so we changed the direction. Boom. This one will be interesting. This is one of those scenarios where that AB boundary formed right at that 382 level. So it'll be interesting to see if we get a retracement and a high price first on this one before continuing short, right? So don't be surprised if we see this happen, right? And that'll also put us in line for a crown pattern as well. Let's see if we get action like that there, right? And that'll put us in line for this move here. Right? So could potentially be in for that. So look, we might get a pullback on this one, right? So don't be surprised if that occurs, and giving us a high price to get back short. Okay, and that's based on right with strong move to the downside, right? No retracement occurred, so retracement at some point will come, right? So just give us a high price and then get back short, and that'll give us, if we get confirmation of that swing high crown pattern, right? Then we'll look for a deeper move to the downside. Okay. What are your thoughts on this one, Jeremy? What are you seeing?
Yeah, I saw the 80-20 on the 4 hour, but I missed the play. And so I was just looking at entering on the daily and kind of scaling in once I get pulled back on the 4 hour.
I got you. Okay. I like the idea, right? You're getting your, right? Need a couple more candles for that high to form, but yeah, I follow you on that. All right. Strong move to the downside there. Pull back on the 4. Continuation at least to the bottom of the range. I dig it. I dig it. I dig it. So yeah, definitely look for that pullback, man. Right. And just watch this fib sequence here coming off the high on the 1 or the 4. Right. And look for your high price here. Yeah. Good work. Good work. Any other questions or thoughts on this Aussie New Zealand? Nope. Okay. Cool deal. And we'll wrap it up with the Swiss yen. We'll take a look at that real quick. As it is still bouncing back and forth. Definitely got some indecision here at these all-time highs, right? Indecision at the all-time highs. Coming down to the 4, right? There's our 80-20 scenario on the sub-fib. Right? Just missed that 118 level, trying to break down, right? Making lower highs and lower lows, but looking for an impulsive move of some sort to get that thing moving to the downside. So we'll see. We'll continue to watch that there. Coming down to the 1, right? We're still stuck inside that range that we boxed out, right? We are still trying to break above the cloud there, but you see the cloud is also just moving sideways, right? So we'll see if we get price to continue moving down here. Okay, so just watching this one as it continues to bounce back and forth, but we'll see if we're able to continue making lower highs and lower lows as it slowly makes its way to the downside here. Okay, so we'll watch that there on the 80-20 on the 1 hour on the Swiss yen. All right, so not a ton happening, bouncing back and forth, looking for some catalysts to give us some movement today, tomorrow, Friday. All right. Questions? Anything that we covered this morning? All right, things moving pretty slow. We got some pairs, some plays happening, but it's about being patient as well, right? Not forcing things, allowing the market to tell us what it's going to do. Okay. No questions? Benny, anything before we wrap it up, bro? Next up, play for it. Might not be back yet.
No, sir. Great session as always, man. You covered a lot. The kids just staying patient. Got a lot of red folders this
Yeah.
morning. And so we need that to get the volatility in the market for our moves to play out, man. So great job covering everything this morning.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Patience, 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 good people. Right? Benny says all the time, patience pays. Right? So let's stick to it, stay focused. And yeah, if you guys got any thoughts, anything happens throughout the day, drop that stuff into the community, and let's have an awesome day. We'll talk to you in the morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow morning with my awesome partner, Mr. Benny Allen. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Peace.
Thank you.
You're welcome.